Powered by Riverside.
It's the Dynasty front office, and we are building you championships one trade at a time.
What's up, everybody? This is the Dynasty front office rookie prospect profile of the week. My name is Austin Bell, and today we got our man Jesse and Chad with us. How y'all doing today?
What's up, Austin? How are you?
I'm doing good.
See, that's how it goes. If you ask me how I'm doing, when I host, I ask you how you're doing when you host.
I appreciate that. Chad, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Ready to talk Denzel Boston.
Good, yes, sir. This week we got Denzel Boston. I'll get right into it. University of Washington receiver, 22 years old, 6'4", 212 pounds. Did no speed testing at the combine, but he did do a 20-yard shuttle, ran a 4.28. Last year, 62 receptions, 881 yards, and 11 touchdowns. And the year before that, almost identical numbers, 63 receptions, 834 yards, and 9 touchdowns. I guess first things first, Chad, tell us why you like him.
Yeah, so Denzel Boston, just in positional rankings for me, is a wide receiver 4. I really, really like some of the stuff he's able to do, just from an athleticism standpoint, also from a route running perspective for his size. I think that's going to be the big factor for him is some of the things he does. He's not the stiff, old school outside X that you're just going to, throw on goes and throw the ball deep to him, and win off of pure physicality. He does a lot of nuance stuff that I really like in the short and intermediate, maybe not struggles, but maybe the intermediate is a little bit more, lucrative for him. That's where I think his best part of the field is. But his route running, I think, is pretty good for his size. Actually, I think in the same kind of realm as like a T. Higgins, coming out as a prospect. And so, yeah, I think he's got a lot going for him. His contested catches from 2024 to 2025 went down by about half. This past season, he only had 13 contested catch targets for the entire year. And so a lot of his production was done or was found through really just getting open and getting a little bit more separation, which I was really excited to see because 24, I thought, maybe he was going a different path. So from what I see in 25, I think he's a player that's going to be a pretty complete X. And we don't really have many of those this draft class. We have a lot of different kind of bigger bodied players at wide receiver, but not many like him where I think he's going to be a traditional X that can go out there and really operate in all aspects of your offense.
Okay, cool. Jesse, I want to give you a couple advanced stats. Tell me if any of these stick out to you. I guess the first big one is the 3.1% drop rate last year. Obviously that's got to be good. Contested catch, as Chad mentioned, was really good percentage wise with only 77% contested catch rate. Only 4.4 yards after the catch per reception and only 4.7 missed tackles. Which one of those to you is the biggest red flag?
Which one is the biggest red flag? Okay, give me the numbers again.
So you got the 4.4 yards after the catch, 7 forced missed tackles, 77% contested catch, and a 3.1% drop rate. Obviously, 2 are good, 2 are not good. So
yeah, the yak numbers aren't good. That's not really his game, although they do use him on some screens. But yeah, I guess it would be the break tackles. That's not really what he does. I would say that leads into my biggest criticism of him, and that's he lacks dynamicism, right? He's not.
That's a good word.
It's a tough word to say.
It's not the right word, but yeah, it is a good word.
Yeah, he's not electric, right? He doesn't burst in and out of his breaks. He's not going to beat you long. That's not his game, but doesn't mean I don't like him. So he's very smooth. I don't think he is somewhere between Pittman and Higgins, is how I see it. I think Cortland Sutton was, as a prospect, I thought he was a little more explosive. Like he did have that dynamism. It's the last time I said that.
Isn't it just dynamism?
Sure.
Yeah. I like yours better, Jesse.
Dynamism?
Yeah.
Dynamax?
Yeah. So, but he's really good at what he does. He's really smooth. He knows how to get open. When I turned on the tape, I thought my biggest question was going to be, can he get open enough in the NFL to matter? And he answered that. By watching the tape, he answered that. Yes, I think he can. Short and intermediate, it's not going to be a problem for him. He runs a really good slant, shields the defender well on that route. My question turned into, is he going to be able to get enough volume to matter? Kind of like Michael Pittman. There are seasons that Michael Pittman is a little bit irrelevant because, well, if the offense isn't moving, if the offense isn't really good and efficient, then, Michael Pittman, like I said, he just needs a lot of volume to be relevant.
I disagree, but I think what you're saying is right, and it is similar to Michael Pittman in that the volume is going to matter, but it's not that he needs a lot of volume, it's that he can get away with having a lot less volume than other players, but he doesn't have the cheat potential that you have with like a Wan'Dale Robinson, where they can have a mediocre season, but because of their style of play, they can have an incredible fantasy season for their level of talent, because they have that, that style of play where they can get, 130 targets essentially in an offense, any given offense. He's never going to be that player.
The quick open guy with the short targets is what you're saying. Yeah. He runs a good slant though. So he'll get targets on that.
So what style of offense are y'all wanting him to see? It sounds like he needs to be and I don't want to say the main target in the offense, but realistically, I guess the 1B at best. Are there any offenses y'all can think of at the top of your head that y'all are wanting to see him in? Jesse, you seem like you're ready. Either one of y'all, but.
Yeah, I have two.
Okay.
Number one, I think he would be really good with Sean Payton, the Michael Thomas role. I think he'd be really good at that. I think he would eat. Also, I don't know exactly what Miami's system is going to look like, but I do think that he would be a good complement to Waddle.
Seems fair.
So those are the two places that I thought would work well. I also think that he would be decent in Tennessee because I think he would work well off of RPOs.
I was going to say I think he will fit anywhere, and that's like the beauty of what he is as a player. There's just not that many out there, and I know I said there's not that many in this class. There's really him and one other guy, and then in the NFL it's just a dying breed. What excites me is that, again, he can do a little bit more of the nuanced stuff, so there's a little bit more exploitation that can be had in various schemes. But I think anybody could use him, to be honest. I don't think that there's a team out there that's going to turn down the kind of player he is, as far as what he can do in their style of offense. Anybody can use one. Yeah,
he's a chain mover. So a team that has electric weapons and needs somebody to keep it moving. Like earlier in the season, I think we all agreed that Miami could use a player like that. I think we said Michael Pittman would be really good there.
Yeah, that would be a nice fit just on paper.
Yeah.
I really like the Giants too. If the Giants decide not to go wide receiver on their first pick and do end up trading back, I think he could be a decent option for them. Anybody that has that, really dynamic wide receiver one, or maybe even just a really, really elite slot player that he can play off of, I think is going to be, for a fantasy perspective, the best spot for him.
I agree. Yeah, I think the Giants are a really good fit as well.
So a little kind of tail off of that, Chad. What about the Raiders with Bowers in the middle? Do you think putting him on the outside would be a good compliment, or do you want him to have an outside weapon for him to work with, to where he's not seeing the alpha every game? on the outside.
No, I do like that, especially because Bowers is going to draw so much attention. Let's be real, Bowers is the number one anywhere he lines up.
Correct.
So, having Denzel Boston playing the traditional X role in that offense is going to be something where he is going to be just naturally freed up. I think especially if they're able to find a good slot player. There's been, talk about them bringing in a guy I just mentioned in Wan'Dale Robinson. If they do bring in a player like that, even more so, I think that is the exact kind of last piece that would fit in that offense.
Okay.
That is a good point, though, Austin. He's gonna be used as a sacrifice, a sacrificial player. He's gonna be used that way a lot. He's gonna go against the other team's number one.
Yeah, as
corner.
Chad mentioned, I think one of y'all mentioned he was used as the clear out guy a lot. For usage last year, he had over 1,200 snaps outside with only 151 in the slot. So Washington wasn't worried about him not facing the other team's best corner, and I'm assuming that's why you didn't see a larger target volume in the offense.
They did send him on a lot of goes, but they also threw the ball to him a lot on those goes. And I think a lot of that is, I got the sense that when they saw one-on-one coverage on the outside, they're like, I'm throwing it up to him. I don't care. If it's just him and another guy, I don't care how close they are to him. He's going to come down with it.
Yeah. And there are those players out there, right, where if a quarterback sees a certain player in a one-on-one, especially with a cornerback, they're taking that every time. And I think he's one of those players. So, while I don't think that he's a burner who's going to get, a crazy amount of separation on goes in the NFL, I think he's physical enough, and a really, really good contested catch player to where if they do find him one-on-one in those kind of situations, which you don't find very often in the NFL, but if that happens, then they're probably going to go his way.
If you get him with the right quarterback, he could be a really, really good back shoulder player. That back shoulder throw where the defender doesn't know if the quarterback's going to throw it up and he's going to have to jump for it, or if he just, throws it a little short and comes back to the back shoulder. He could be really good at that, like Devontae Adams, actually.
Okay. I guess last thing, I think we're all assuming he gets first round NFL draft capital. We don't know where yet, but where are y'all comfortable taking him in a rookie draft currently? Is it right after the big 5 or 6, or?
I'm going to let Chad go.
For me, he's anywhere from the 106 to the 112, depending on draft capital.
Okay, that's fair. Does landing spot matter for that a lot? Is it because of other players?
Landing spot is going to matter. And mostly not because of the other players that he's surrounded by, even though I do think that, like I said, it would help if there are certain archetypes alongside him in those offenses. But I think quarterback play is going to matter a lot for a guy like Denzel Boston, because you've got to be a little bit more, gung-ho as a quarterback to really take advantage of a guy like Denzel Boston from a fantasy perspective. If we're wanting any kind of future with elite production, being the best case scenario, number one is he's going to have a quarterback that's willing to do it. He can't have a risk averse like, Tua, or somebody who's really just looking for, the open target all the time. Or even offensive schemes that do that, right? Because there's some out there.
Yeah, you need a quarterback that'll trust him. For sure.
Jesse, what about you for draft capital, rookie draft?
I have a really rough time taking him at 106. I like him because he's like a double. He's like a solid double. He's not a home run. He's not a strikeout. He's like a solid double guy. Where do I take a guy like that? That's the question. In this draft, he's definitely going to be higher. I think we say that about all these guys. Yeah. At past 105, everything's inflated. So, yeah, like I said, it's going to be tough taking him at 106. I would probably take Sadiq over him, given, if he gets the top 20 draft capital I think he's going to get, I'll probably take Sadiq, unless he goes to a situation where he's blocked. So yeah, draft draft landing spot is going to mean a lot for all of these guys and capital. Boston could also fall into the second round. He could fall into the top of the second round, which, if he's not a first rounder, it definitely will hurt him a little bit.
See, I don't mind that.
A little bit.
Mainly because I think you get a team like Vegas, like Tennessee, like Arizona, like unfortunately the Jets, or even the Giants that are at the top of that second round that could all use another weapon. And I mean, we've seen a ton of success. I think the threshold's like pick 51 for fantasy success. Receivers taken before that have a considerably more likely success for fantasy. So as long as we're seeing the first 5 or 6 picks in the second, that doesn't really bother me.
It's going to depend on my build and my team, my roster. So for Fantasy Einstein's, the league that Mike, our co-host, runs, that we're all in, I have a really good roster and I have 109. I would take Boston over Concepcion at 109 because he's so much safer. On that team, I'm looking for depth. I would take Pittman. I mean, I would take Boston in that situation because he's safe. So there's going to be other rosters where I'm looking for upside, and I might take Concepcion in that situation.
Okay.
But yeah, I think 107 or later, I'll be okay taking him.
Okay. Chad, one last thing. I was arguing with somebody on Twitter. Surprise, I know. It was about Denzel Boston, and I said Buffalo is where I would like for him to go. I feel like he's what they wanted Keon Coleman to be.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in that statement? I feel like that.
No, you're exactly right. You knew I was. I mean, you guys know I was pretty high on Keon Coleman, but for a very different reason than I like Denzel Boston. Keon Coleman, and we talked about this at length. I was high on him as long as he was given a specific role, which I thought most NFL teams would be able to see and be able to understand that that's the kind of player he is, which is a big slot. And he was the exact opposite of a big slot in Buffalo. They're looking for a Denzel Boston. That's what they tried to make Keon Coleman into. That's what Keon Coleman is not. He's not Denzel Boston.
I had that thought earlier too. Yeah.
Yeah. If they want their player that they were trying to get last year with Keon Coleman, then Denzel Boston is that guy.
2 years ago at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. What they tried to make him into this past season.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. DJ Moore, Denzel Boston, and Shakir.
Yeah,
with Kincaid and Knox
really
and
well
Cook.
together.
I mean, that'd be a fun offense with Josh Allen.
Yeah, DJ Moore he can play outside at X, but he's better as a flanker.
Yeah, I agree.
And move him around.
The only thing with Buffalo though is I don't think that's very likely. I know they met with him. And so it's kind of been a big talk, but just thinking about it for me, I don't think that they're completely giving up on Keon Coleman. Even though if they're going to play him like that, they probably should. It's entirely frustrating, but they don't have a second round pick after the DJ Moore trade, and they got DJ Moore with their second round pick. So why would they use their really first round pick to go there and get Denzel Boston? And I imagine Denzel Boston's going to go higher than a lot of the Dynasty community believes. I've been pretty good at predicting NFL draft capital as it pertains to prospects, and I'm
top
pretty
20 locked, right? That's pretty much what you said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure personally that he goes top 20.
Who, Boston?
Yeah, Denzel Boston.
I can see it. It just depends on the team. Everyone's got their priorities. It's going to take a mature front office and coaching staff to want to draft a player like him without the traits, the crazy traits. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's not the young hotness. He's the young double center.
Vegas does have pick 14 now after trading away Max Crosby.
Yeah.
Could be a perfect spot for him.
That could be a really good spot.
Yeah, it would be a good fit.
All right. Well, anything else, gentlemen?
That's all I got on Denzel Boston personally. Well, let's look. Let me just clear out my notes, make sure I don't have anything else. Oh, blocking. Yes, I do. I know it's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but he's a good blocker and he wants to do it. He seeks people out. When it's a run play, you see he goes into this mode where he's like cruising around looking for his guy to block. And when he gets him, he manhandles him. It's like the opposite of what you see from a Texas receiver. When the play is not going to a Texas receiver, he stands there. Matthew Golden, A.D. Mitchell. I don't know if that's just the coaching or whatever it is, but
it's gotta be. There's no way they can all do that.
But it does matter for a player like him that doesn't have huge explosiveness, isn't necessarily an alpha. He needs to do the little things well, and he does. So I think, yeah, that's all I have. I would love to see him go to Denver if they got rid of Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work cap-wise, but
yeah.
Having two towers beside each other, though.
That would be weird.
It'd be fun.
Peyton likes weird, though.
So yeah, he does. He does. All right, guys. Well, that's the 2026 rookie prospect profile for Denzel Boston. Next week, we'll be doing Ty Simpson and Mike Washington Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the front office. The lights are low, the boards are lit, and the dynasty clock is ticking. From the heart of the startup draft to the championship throne, one crew rules the long game. Give it up for the undisputed architects of empire.